Yai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai. Yai dai dai, yai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai. Yai dai dai, yai dai, yai dai, yai dai dai, yai dai, yai dai dai. Yai dai dai, yai dai, yai dai, yai dai dai, yai dai, yai dai, yai. Shabbat Shalom. This Shabbat is known as Shabbat Chazon, the Shabbat before Tisha B'Av, the day we mourn the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. Tisha B'Av begins tomorrow night. Tomorrow, we read from the book of Isaiah. We read a warning. Here it is. Put your evil doings away. Cease to do evil. Learn to do good. Devote yourself to justice. Aid the wronged. Uphold the rights of the orphan. Defend the cause of the widow. The faithful city that was filled with justice, where righteousness dwelt, but now murderers. Your rulers are rogues and cronies of thieves. Everyone avid for presents and greedy for gifts. They do not judge the case of the orphan, and the widow's cause never reaches them. We teach that the ancient temple was destroyed by our enemies, by the Babylonians around 587, 586 BCE, by the Romans around the year 70. But as you heard in the words of Isaiah, the destruction was due to our own moral failures. Failures we can identify with today. We live in a society that does not take care of the most vulnerable. Injustice continues to be a plague that is overwhelming. Our cities can be dangerous. Many of our rulers are corrupt. And so many of us only look out for ourselves. And as a result, the violence spreads, the disparity increases, and thus the evil spreads. Traditionally, on Tisha B'Av, we mourn the loss of the temple. Whether or not this is part of our practice, each of us should spend this time, this Shabbat, reflecting on the fact that the sinat chinam, the baseless hatred that was part of society back then, that continues to be our failure to truly care about each other, is still causing destruction. This is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to reflect on this Shabbat Chazon, this Shabbat before Tisha B'Av. I want to begin by sharing some words by Rabbi Arthur Waskow, a poem called Between the Fires. We are the generation that stands between the fires. Behind us, the flame and smoke that rose from Auschwitz and from Hiroshima and from the burning of the Amazon forest. Before us, the nightmare of a flood of fire. the flame and smoke that could consume all earth. It is our task to make from fire not an all-consuming blaze, but the light in which we see each other fully. All of us different, all of us bearing one spark. We light these fires to see more clearly that the earth and all who live as part of it are not for burning. We light these fires to see more clearly the rainbow in our many-colored faces. Blessed is the one within the many. Blessed are the many who make one. Join me now as we light the candles of Shabbat, creating holy fire, fire in which we hope to see each other's diversity and embrace each other. If you're joining us tonight for the first time, you can find our online prayer book at ramatshalom.org. The upper right-hand side of the page, you should be able to see a link for our prayer book, and you can download it. Many of you already have it. We're on page 2 as we light the candles. If you have candles at home, join with us. Say the blessings together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Tonight, we remind ourselves that we're responsible. We can't look away. Tonight, as we welcome the angels of Shabbat, we do so by welcoming them and welcoming each of us with shalom and committing ourselves to sharing this shalom with everyone, not allowing it to be limited by boundaries or borders, rather letting it soar freely, just like the angels of Shabbat do. If you have a prayer book at home, we're on page 13. If you're using the prayer book online, we're on page 6, welcoming those angels. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The words of Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt, a poem called After the Fall. The Mishnah says, senseless hatred knocked the temple down. Not the Romans with their siege engines, or not only them, but our ancestors too, who slipped into petty backbiting, ignored Shabbat, forgot how to offer their hearts. And we're no better. We who secretly know we're right, holier than they. We who roll our eyes and patronize, who check email even on the holiest of days, who forget that a prayer is more than a tune, more than words on a page. In Oslo, parents weep, and we're too busy arguing motive to comfort them. Across the Middle East, parents weep, and we're too busy arguing borders to comfort them. In our nursing homes, parents weep, shuddering and alone, and we're too busy. Even now, what sanctuaries, what human hearts are damaged and burned, while we snipe at each other or insist we're not responsible, or we look away. The Talmud tells us that there was once an unnamed man, a wealthy man, who lived at the time of the Second Temple. This man had a close friend named Kamsa and an enemy named Bar Kamsa. When throwing a big party, the unnamed wealthy man instructed his servant to deliver an invitation to his dear friend Kamsa. The servant, however, made a mistake and delivered the invitation to the hated Bar Kamsa. Bar Kamsa, probably assuming that the man wished to reconcile, went to the party. Unfortunately, when the unnamed man, the wealthy host of the party, saw Bar Kamsa at his home, he flew into a rage and ordered him to leave. Bar Kamsa, seeking to avoid humiliation, offered to pay for whatever he would eat at the party. But the owner, the host, refused. When this offer was refused, Bar Kamsa offered to pay for half the party. But this offer, well, it was also refused. So Bar Kamsa offered to pay for the entire party. The host angrily turned this down as well and had Bar Kamsa forcibly removed from his home. It's a terrible story, right? The story appears to capture the evil ways that led to the destruction of the temple, but hang on a second, because it gets worse. You see, there were a number of leading rabbis at the party that Bar Kamsa was kicked out of. And when Bar Kamsa was humiliated by the host, these rabbis, they didn't intervene. When Bar Kamsa saw this, he took their actions as approval, or at very least indifference, when it came to this terrible treatment. And so he swore revenge against the rabbis. He went to the local Roman authorities and he made up a story saying that the Jewish people were preparing for a revolt against the Roman Empire. And the Roman leadership asked for proof. And Bar Kamsa made something up, telling the leadership, the Roman leadership, that if they sent a sacrifice, an animal sacrifice, unpleasant for us, but that's what used to happen in ancient times. He said if the Romans sent an animal sacrifice to be offered at the temple, the Jews would reject it. Now imagine that. The Jews rejecting a Roman offering and therefore insulting them. Well, the Roman leaders wanted to see if this was true. So they sent a high-quality, perfect calf back to Jerusalem with Bar Kamsa. You got to remember that the animals that were sacrificed in the temple had to be perfect, blemish-free. On the way to bringing the calf to the temple, Bar Kamsa had a plan. He sabotaged this calf, putting a minor blemish somehow on it, a blemish that would disqualify it for use as a Jewish sacrifice. And when the blemished calf was presented to the Jewish officials at the temple, the Jewish leadership struggled with what to do with it. Some of them said they had to overlook the blemish in order to avoid offending the Romans. But others were afraid that this would encourage people to bring blemished animals as sacrifices, and this wasn't okay to many in leadership. And ultimately, the Roman sacrifice was rejected. As a result, the Romans had no choice but to believe Bar Kamsa's story that the Jews were preparing a revolt, and guess what? They went and destroyed the temple. Bar Kamsa, a victim of baseless hatred, internalizes the hate and in turn fuels the flames of hate. And this in turn, according to this Talmudic legend, led to the destruction that still permeates our culture today. Tonight, as we prepare to welcome in Shabbat into our homes, we're going to sing Lecha Dodi. And as we do so, I encourage you to think about the Bar Kamsas in your life. Those you would not invite through your doors. Those you might possibly remove from your house if somehow they managed to get into a party. Ask yourself, what good does having Bar Kamsas bring into this world? Ask yourself if you yourself, and some of us have, been a Bar Kamsa. Have you been insulted or embarrassed like he was? And did you seek revenge because of that? If so, what good does this revenge bring into the world? Tonight, as we welcome Shabbat, can we all let go of revenge? Can we open our doors to everyone? Can we imagine our Bar Kamsas becoming our guests? Turn with me online to page 18 as we sing Lecha Dodi, officially bringing Shabbat into our homes. If you have a prayer book, we're on page 40 and 41. Lecha Dodi likrat kala Pene Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad hishmianu El hamiuchad Adonai echad Ushemo echad L'shemu l'tiferet v'litchila Lecha Dodi likrat kala Pene Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh Mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshava tchila lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela yamin u'smol tiferot zivet Adonai taritzi al yadish ben partzi v'nismecha v'nagila lecha dodi likrat kala pene Shabbat nekabela Boi v'shalom Ateret bala gam besimcha Uvetzolatoch emune am segula Boi chala Bo'oi chala lecha dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela. So as we begin Shabbat, let's commit ourselves to the antithesis of baseless hatred. And that is love. That is ahava, a core value in our tradition that we sing about on page 26 online or 63 in our prayer book, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Avta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shochveinu v'kumeinu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu Ve'orech yameinu Ve'orech yameinu Uvahem nege yomam v'layla Yomam v'layla Ve'avatcha lo tasor mimenu Le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael. It is through ahava, through love, that we discover unity, that we discover the ability to repair and build bridges and come together. And this unity, this holiness, is what is captured in the Shema, which you can find online on page 27, or in the Siddur on page 65. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed, Ve'ahavta Et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uv'lechtecha v'derech, uv'shofpecha uv'kumecha, u'kshartam lehot al yadecha, v'hayu totafot bein einecha, u'chtavtam, Al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. When I was in Israel last month, my colleagues and I met with Shireen Nator Chafi, the principal at the Arab Ort School in Lod. Lod being the city where some of the worst riots took place in Israel. Arabs and Jews, all Israelis, harming each other in these riots. As Shireen sat with us in her school, joined by some of her students, Arab residents of Lod, some of whom were involved in the riots against Jews in the city, she said to all of us, including her students, if we love each other, we won't hurt each other. When there is no love, there's baseless hatred. Unfortunately, I got the chance to see the effects of this baseless hatred firsthand. The apartment of a Jewish family in Lod burned by Arab rioters, destroyed simply because, well, the inhabitants were Jewish. This destruction happened in May in the Jewish state in Israel.
The inside bedrooms are also totally burnt down. You can see that they broke down things before they burned. Yeah.
I know that video is hard to see. And I can tell you, since I filmed it, it was even harder to experience. One Jew was killed in Lod, not in this apartment. One Arab was killed in Lod, not connected to this apartment. Following the riots, Shireen, the principal, is more committed than ever to ensuring that her students embrace love. And she's not alone. The rabbi that we met with in Lod is working with Muslim leaders to somehow, some way work on spreading love amongst his congregation and his neighbors. And Shireen and the rabbi, they're not alone. There are many others who are committed to building a society that is shared by brothers and sisters in the land of Israel. Overcoming hate, spreading love, building peace, it's not easy work. It's overwhelming work. It's messy work. It can be dangerous work. But this type of work is what is needed if we are to create better days. And creating better days, well, it takes tremendous courage. Courage our ancestors had, as Mark Mazimova explains in his poem, Redemption. as our ancestors crossed the Red Sea and began their journey to freedom, they captured this courage. Mark's words. What did they think as the waters rose up their legs, chilling their hearts, advancing toward their open mouths? We continue to walk here now, 1 foot at a time. On our better days, forward. Alone, I cannot reach the far shore without drowning. But somehow I don't go under. The person to my right holds me up. Something I cannot see holds them up. Blessed is the source of help, so often unexpected. I step forward. The sea is vast. We're going to sing this song of redemption, this sea where our ancestors, the song where our ancestors made it to the other side and sang these words. You can find it online, page 28, or in the Siddur if you have it, page 79. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, nora tehilot osefele, malachutecha ra'u v'hanecha, bokeh yam lifnei Moshe, zeheli anu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, ve'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Another beautiful poem, this one by Rabbi David Marcus, Pursuit and Protection. Too often the world turns upside down. Destruction and exile haunt us again and again. Too often aggression and violence dim the human spirit. Crusades and genocides inflict losses beyond measure. Even the thickest walls cannot always protect us. Even our innermost sanctuaries see devastation. We crave to know why, to be protected from onslaught. We yearn to be tucked in at night and wake to new life. We crave the cradle of your presence and wise counsel. Save us for your name's sake. Shield us. Remove from us enmity, plague, sword, famine, and grief. Remove all blocks to the flow of spirit. Shelter us in the shade of your wing, for you are our protector and rescuer. Gracious and compassionate one, bless our going and our coming for life and peace now and forever. And we sing the words of the Hashkivenu, words that capture the essence of this beautiful prayer, shared and written by David Marcus on page 29 online or 81 in our Siddur. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Leshalom, V'hamideinu, Malkeinu Lechayim, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך, ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו, כי אל שומרנו ומצילנו אתה, כי אל מלך חנון ורחום אתה. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום, מעתה ועד עולם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. More than Jews have kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jews. The words of Achad Ha'am, Asher Ginsberg, a poet, a philosopher, lived between 1856 and 1927. These words remind us that no matter how hard it has been, despite exile, persecution, unthinkable violence, and anti-Semitism, Friday night came around, and Jews managed, even in the concentration camps, to create sacred time, Shabbat. As Abraham Joshua Heschel taught, Shabbat is one of life's highest rewards, a source of strength and inspiration to endure tribulation, to live nobly. The Sabbath is the inspirer, the other days, the inspired. In honor of Shabbat, we sing together Vishamru online, page 31, in the Siddur, page 85. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית olam. Again, a poem by Rachel Barenblatt, Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt. How to hold fear for so long. My shoulders learn a new shape. How to watch numbers climb higher and then higher. How to hold funerals and kindergarten over Zoom. How to read subtle signals via eyes alone. How to regrow scallions in water because there might not be more to buy. How to feel our connections though we're apart. How to sit with unimaginable losses even if they aren't our own, even if they are. How to hold each other when we can't touch. How to weep. How to feel everything that's broken, from mobile morgues to the lies that fueled shattered Capitol windows. Then ask the grief and fury to drain away. How to nurture hope's tiny tendrils, unfurling into flower with every vaccination. How to trust each other, take down our veils, and blink in unfamiliar sun. Trusting each other, loving each other. This is how we bring peace, and I invite you to turn with me online to our prayer for peace, our song for peace. You can find it again online, page 40. You can find it in the Siddur, page 107. O say shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. We send healing thoughts tonight to Donna Steinberg and Emily Trilling, David Alexander, Ruthie Reines, Bruce Abrahams, Marissa Goldman, Mark Neveloff, Lily Stander, Rick Montano, the Fisher family, Judy Bieber, William Cahill, Zeta, Jordy, Rochelle Feinberg, Karina Trula Mualam, Wally Sif, George Trula, Don Music, Stacy Schwartz, Elisa Cartagena, Jerry Freed, Tootie Music, Madeline Morrison, Billy Bryant, Barry Sanders, Sharon Stone, Cindy Hoffman, Richard Miles, Vitaly Hochstadter, Eileen Azarkoff, Jay Levan, Ray Sweat, Bonnie Augen, Michael Sirota, Suzanne Walder, Larry Sif, Alvin Goldstein, Richard Kelvin, Catherine music, and Stu Doling, and many others. Feel free to type those names in our chat room tonight as we say a Misha Berach for all these special folks who need some strength this Friday night, this Shabbat. Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Beirach Imotenu Mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah Shleima, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And of course, we hold in our thoughts those injured in Surfside, family, neighbors, friends. A poem for Tisha B'Av by Rabbi Jill Hausman. Where are we now? We're not in Babylon or Spain, not in Germany or even Russia. We're back in Yerushalayim, we're back in Jerusalem, and we're here in America. Not to rebuild a past we can never recreate, or to yearn for a time when animal sacrifice still had meaning. What shall we build now? Not a structure of stone cut with the implements of war, not a city where divisions tear us apart and hatred burns away all the softness, but a temple of justice, a tent of peace, a diversity of belonging, a home. Wherever we are the Shabbat, wherever we are as Tisha B'Av begins tomorrow night, let us build a home. Let's commit to creating a sacred place without divisions, a temple of justice, a place of peace. Let us remember that the words of Aleinu, which you can find online on 42 or in the Siddur on 121, are there to remind us that we have the job to create a better world. We have the job to create this temple of justice, this place of peace. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, Shenatan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. When senseless hatred reigns on earth and people hide their faces from one another, then heaven is forced to hide its face. But when love comes to rule the earth and people reveal their faces to one another, then the splendor of God will be revealed. V'nemar v'haya Adonai L'melech al kol haaretz Bayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. As a community, we offer our condolences to the Moore family on the passing of Terry's mom, Arlene, and to the Richmond Tatunic family on the passing of their niece, Stephanie, to the Tuchman family on their terrible loss, losing several family members in the Surfside Towers. We hold these families in our heart. We hold the memory of all those lost in Surfside in our hearts. And we mourn with our community here and friends all over the world who have lost folks. We mark the yard sites tonight of several special people: Lazarus Brofman, Audrey Elowitz, Lorene Winters, Joseph Padua, Lorna Tompkin, David Lerner, Siona Kalmowitz, Stanley Katz, Sam Hoffman, Shirley Goldman, Edna Croft Ellman, Benjamin Menendez, Morris Applebaum, Michael Rosenberg, Oscar Ruskin, Barry Shankman, Albert Shikyar, Jerome Silverman, Shana Temmel, Ann Amdor, Sandy Davidson, Chaz Leibowitz, and Mary Savitsky. Please, again, type names into the chat room if you'd like to bring the essence of these folks in with us tonight into our room. We invite you to do so. You can find the Mourner's Kaddish on page 45 or 131 in the Siddur. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei, B'chayechon u'byomechon u'b'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imeru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam mul almei almaya. Yitbarak ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitramam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yittaleh ve'yithalal Shemei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'miran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. By the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion, by the waters of Babylon. We lay down and wept for thee, Zion. Important words to end with as we prepare for that saddest day of the year. We still have Shabbat, but we have Tisha B'Av coming when we remember what our ancestors remembered on the shores, and they wept. We remember differently now, but hopefully as we remember, we'll be reminded of some of the important lessons we talked about tonight. Join me as we come to the end of our service tonight with the Kiddush and the Motzi. And raise a glass, raise your Kiddush cup with me wherever you are. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. May your cup, may it flow over with joy this Shabbat. And may our lives be just like this cup, filled with life. L'chaim. Got a little one of our COVID. At the synagogue, we have these pre-wrapped COVID challahs, as we call them, trying to use them up as we get ready to welcome folks back slowly next month with a real challah, not these pre-wrapped things, but they're actually pretty tasty. I invite you to say the motzi along with me. If you've got challah, grab hold of it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. I don't want to chew with my mouth or talk with my mouth full, so hang on a second. I'm going to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom. Really think about some of the lessons we talked about tonight as we enter this solemn day, Saturday night, as Shabbat comes to an end. And try to commit to spreading love and making the world a better place. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. See you soon.